So we're in the first chapter, 98, and we're learning about this is now we're reaching, this is like the peak of the book. Once the rabbi explains to the king the big question of what's left of you after the Chet HaEgel. You did the sin of the golden calf, the worst idol worshipping someone could do. The Gemara says that the sin we did of Chet HaEgel was like the sin of a married woman, a woman that's getting married on her wedding night, and the groom is waiting at the chuppah, and they can't find the bride, and she's in the back room with the best friend of the chatan. Who could think of something worse? This is what the Jewish people did. By the way, it says that when Adam Arishon, when he ate from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, so he basically brought into himself this Yetzer Hara. It didn't exist. So he was perfect, he was pure, all he had was the potential to fall. Like, for example, a person who, someone knocks on your door and says, take some heroin. Is it a challenge for you to say, no thank you, close the door? Not at all. You never had it before, you never tried it. But once a person takes the drug and becomes addicted, then the struggle. So the Yetzer Hara was very, very difficult. The Yetzer Hara was, this is the Nefesh Chaim, what I'm telling you. He says the Yetzer Hara was external. Adam Rishon was perfect, pure, no Yetzer Hara, and by eating from the true knowledge, good and bad, he basically, the Yetzer Hara got in, and now we all have to do a very hard struggle, because the Yetzer Hara works from inside, from your desires, from your passion, from you think you have the right intentions. You could want to do the most incredible things, but you never know, is it coming from the right place? And that's why you have rabbis, you have the Shulchan Aruch, you have to check, what am I trying to do here? Is it in line with what God wants? So the first thing that we explained here, we said, of the Chet HaEgel, the first lesson. And the Gemara says, Lo hayu eruin Yisrael lachto b'Chet HaEgel. We really didn't need to do that sin. We really, it was beneath our level of dignity, of level of understanding. But why do we do it? Lehorot tshuva l'rabim, to teach for once and for all. Even the highest nation, at the greatest moment. When did we do Chet HaEgel? When we were standing at Har Sinai. Right after we heard God's words. So even if the highest nation and the highest generation, they fall and they make a mistake, they can do tshuva. And the Gemara says, same thing, David HaMelech. Even the highest individual is to teach you that there is tshuva. No matter how far you fall, you did something terrible. There's always the ability to do tshuva, and that lesson is so important. And then, unfortunately, when we did do the sin of the golden calf, we let back in the Yetzer Hara. We got him out. We had the Har Sinai, we got him out, and he got back in. Unfortunately. So the first answer we said, I guess you don't understand what the Jewish people are all about. Jewish people are a creation that God created, that we call the fifth element of creation, because you have stones, plants, animals, human beings, the Jewish nation. And the Jewish nation was a progression that started from Adam Arishon, this person who had the segula, and it was transferred down through certain individuals who held this spark, what we call the segula, the torch, and then it was handed to the nation. That was a new change, and now once it's created, this nation that was created, everything was a build-up for this nation that will be created. And yes, a nation is created of three groups. The Arizal says, Tzibur stands for Sadikim, Beinonim, and Reshaim. And a nice play of words. The Torah says, if you're walking in the street and you see Chamor rovetz tachat masao, what happens if you're walking in the street and you see a donkey that collapsed with all of its load? What do? Azov ta'azov ima, lift him up. And there's a whole discussion there in the Gemara. What happens if the person you hate, his donkey fell, and the person you love's donkey fell? Who do you go first? The Gemara says, go to the one you hate, because you need to overcome your Yetzer Hara. But what are the words rovetz? Rovetz are the same letters as tzibur. Tzadik bet reish. So even if you have a generation where you see rovetz, the Reshaim are on top, it's supposed to be on top are the tzadikim, then the Beinonim, and the Reshaim. But even if it flips around and you have a generation where the Reshaim are leading the way and they're calling the shots and they're doing negative things, lift them up. Don't despair from the redemption. Don't go into I want nothing to do with them. These people are not doing mitzvahs or whatever it is. Continue to help. Okay, now so that was the first answer. You didn't understand. Obviously, I didn't explain to you enough, says the rabbi to the king, of what does it mean, the Jewish nation? What does it mean that God created the Jewish nation and that He loves them unconditionally, and no external action that they can do, negative as may be, can take that away? Now, once you understand that, I can go into the details. Let's discuss what was the real sin of Adam and Chava. What was the real sin? By the way, it's actually the same sin. The sin of Adam and Chava and the sin of the golden calf is the same sin. Why? It's called humanism. God said, don't eat from the tree, good and bad. Trust me, what I say is good, what I say is bad. And you say, no, I know better. I say right now it's a good idea to serve you through this golden calf. So first thing, when we come to explain the answer to the big question of what was the sin of the golden calf, once we explain what is the segula, what are Jewish people, second answer was, let's first understand what was the sin. It was not idol worshipping. It was not trying to replace God. It was trying to create a way to serve God through something physical. The same way, because they were told, God is going to give you the luchot. He's going to give you stones. And through these stones, you're going to be able to look at these stones and see this miracle. You would see the stones, and it says that the letters were floating in the air, and you would see this, and you would have this experience of closeness to God, and it was something you were able to hold on to. And it helped you to now, I can connect to God through this physical thing. And this is what the Kuzari says. In those days, they needed something physical to connect. And to you, it's shocking. But what if I would tell you that they decided, instead of making the golden calf, they decided to make a shul. They decided to take a box and say, here God exists. Only here you can pray to God. Only here in this spot you would say, well, that's idol worshipping. What? You're containing God into a place? You're refining God into four walls? You're saying the idea of a shul is shocking. The only reason why it's not shocking, because we're used to it and it seems obvious. But why do you say God is more in this shul than He is outside of the shul? Why do you say that here you need to pray with Him? Here is where you can connect to God. I can connect to God anywhere, anytime, any place. What do I need that? The only sin so first of all, we said it was not idol worshiping. They didn't want to replace God. And the proof to that is, what did they say after they created the golden calf? They said, Ela ele Elohecha Yisrael asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim. You are our God who took us out of Egypt. How could they say that to the golden calf that they just created now? Are they idiots? They just made this calf. So you took us out of Egypt? It wasn't even around. They're trying to say, no, this is the way we're going to connect to God. And then it had a lot of great thought behind it. The bull is like the strength and the pure, and the egel, the pure, the innocent calf. I want to take my strength and I want to be pure, and I'm going to look at this calf and I'm going to think about how I'm going to connect God and be pure and be holy. And nobody was thinking to replace God. That's number one answer. Number two, how many people did it? 3,000 people. There's millions of people. There were 600,000 men, and 300,000 men did the golden calf. So 0.5%. 0.5%. And then we went into the big question, why did Aaron help them? Why did Aaron help them? And Aaron helped them because Aaron knew that there was people that were really negative people. And they say it was the people that came out of Egypt, that it was a mistake that Moshe Rabbeinu made, the Erev Rav, these people that came out. And Aaron said, let's make it clear. I'll let them do this. And now we'll know who's good, who's bad. It will be very clear. But the answer is it was a mistake. If somebody wants to do bad, you don't bring it out. You don't help him become negative. And it was a mistake. Obviously, Aaron was... he wasn't killed for if it was such a serious thing. And then the Kuzari says, and if it was so serious, then why is it that we still had the Shechina, we still had Nevuah, we still had the clouds of glory, and we still had the pillar of flame, right? The Amud Anan and Amud Esh, the pillar of fire. So we see it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was bad. It was a big mistake. And there's two arguments whether the mistake was, according to the Kuzari, Rabbi Yehuda Levi, it's a machloka between Rabbi Yehuda Levi and the Rashi. Rashi says they knew he was going up for 40 days. Rabbi Yehuda Levi says they only thought that he was going up for 24 hours. And he took no food. He didn't say, I'm going for how long. And therefore they had to sit there 40 days wondering what's going to be. And they said, we're going to make something to replace the tablets. He said he'd give us something physical. We'll make one ourselves. We're smart. We have a good idea. Here it is. Nobody was trying to replace God. It was not idol worship. It's not the level you think. So now is basically the final awakening of the Kuzari. Remember the story of the Kuzari? He had a dream, and God says to him, your intentions are wanted, your actions are not wanted. So now the Kuzari says to the king. Okay, we're learning 98. And he says like this. Now he says, Amar Kuzari, Kvar azartani, you've helped me, that now I get it. Kvar chizakta dati b'ma she'emanti. What I believed, I knew that there was God. I knew there's the actions that God wants. Remember, the philosopher said to him, God doesn't want any actions, he doesn't see you, doesn't care about you, does not interested in you. And I knew that was not true. But now, after this whole process and this whole educating that you've educated me, now now you've strengthened me in what I believed. That. What is that? במה שראיתי בחלומי, שלא יגיע האדם על העניין אלוהי, אלא בדבר אלוקי. You cannot invent the way to serve God. רצוני לומר, what am I trying to say? במעשים שיצווה בהם אלוהים. This is what I was looking for. So basically you're saying that the sin of the golden calf was what I did. I went and started inventing ways, sacrifices, and ways to serve God, but he didn't ask for it. He didn't tell me to do it. My intentions are good, and it's very important to have the intentions, but the intentions have to come with the guidance from above. And this is the difference between Judaism and every other religion in the world. Judaism comes from above to below. Every other religion comes from below to above. I want to invent something. I want to create my own. It's all about me. I have some ideas. We invent nothing. And it brings us to the famous story. We'll get there in a minute. Ve'im lo, and if you don't do this by accepting God's guidance directly, for whatever it has to do with serving God, we do not invent anything. Ve'im lo harei rov bnei adam mishtadlim. People try to invent things. Afilu itztagnin ubal atar nisaot ve'oved ha'esh ve'oved ha'shemesh ubalei hashniyut ve'zulatam. So basically, this is what I've learned from what you taught me, says the king, is that serving God is a science. It's not an action to show that you love God. It's just as important as science. In other words, that there is no, like we said, there is no way to invent, create ways to serve God. And I'll tell you the story that really explains it perfectly. This is one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard on the Midrash of Lech Lecha of Avram Avinu. It's an incredible gift that I learned this story, because it says it all, everything we've learned till now. What's the story? The Midrash says a story of two friends. One friend's name is Avram, the other one, his name is who knows what. He comes to Avram, his friend, and says, hey, there's a party, come with me. Okay, they go to the party. Where are we going? A very rich man. He opens his home. You can eat what you want. They give you food. There's music. There's everything. A mansion. We can't imagine what a party. Okay, Avram comes with his friend. They come into the house, and Avram says to his friend, listen, I was taught, before I go into a party, I first thank the host. I don't enjoy the party. I don't go and start dancing and eating, and I want to thank the host. The friend says, no, who cares? Who cares about the host? You're here, it's a party, just enjoy. I don't go to the party without thanking the host. Okay, you want the host? There's the host. Where? See that door? That door, someone just walked out of the kitchen holding a platter with the drinks. That's the host, because he's not one of the guests. He came out from one of the inner rooms. There he is. Thank you, host. Thank you for having us. And Avram says, are you the host? No, I'm the waiter. Okay, so you're not the host? Okay, forget about it. Let's go. Again, a guy walks out of there with a cheese platter. Are you the host? Oh, thank you, host. You're amazing. Avram says, are you the host? No, I'm a waiter. Keeps going through that. Avram says to his friend, go enjoy. I'm out of here. He leaves. Sits by a tree. And suddenly there's somebody next to him. He says, who are you? I'm the host. You're the host. What are you doing here? I'm very upset. I love opening my home for everybody, making a party, giving everything. It's all I want. But I asked one thing. In my bedroom, I have a drawer. Don't go into my drawer. And people went into my drawer, opened it up, took what I have in my drawer. Avram says, listen, I can tell you something. I would never do that. Oh yeah, really? It's very easy to say, I'll never do that. Everyone could talk. Talk is cheap. Avram says, you're right. The only way that I can prove to you that I would respect your boundaries or your limits or your requests is if we start a relationship. Test me. When you have a relationship and there's tests, there's challenges, that's when you know what you're made of. So he says, okay. The Midrash says, Parshat Lech Lecha. This is the story of Avram Avinu. It says, Ra'a bira doleket. He saw a huge party here. He saw everything. There's air, there's food, there's water, there's music, there's this world. And he started asking questions to the sun, to the moon. Now everybody thinks that Avram Avinu found God through nature. Answer, wrong. It's impossible to find God through nature. There's nothing that hides God more than nature. Shemesh umagen Hashem Elohim. The world runs on its own, like the philosophers. It's like everything runs. Nature. Nature is God. But is he involved? Does he care? Does he see? Does he want? Does he have desires? Does he have a mission? Does he have a goal for the world? No, nothing. Avram Avinu went through 10 tests. The highest test of all tests were, are you going to eat from the tree of knowledge, good and bad? Avram, is it good or bad to kill your firstborn child? Bad. Okay, I say it's good. Are you going to trust your understanding of what's good and bad? Or are you going to trust me? It's like side story. I once met a pilot. He told me he's a rabbi now. And he said he explained how he did tshuva. He told his story. He's now a Rosh Mechina. And he explained how he did his tshuva. He was a pilot, and he said most pilots, the way they get killed during training or during war, is they have something that's called vertigo. If you spin around in the plane many times, you don't know what's up or down. The stars look like lights, and the lights at night look like stars, and you don't know where you are. And the only way to know where you are is you have a ball. Black is night, is the bottom. White is the day, is the ground. And you have a question. You are sure, you counted in your mind how many flips you did. And you're sure that now up is this way, down is that way, but the ball is telling you the other way around. And you have basically 1 second to make a decision. Because if you pull the flight up and really you're going down, that's it. And you have to ask yourself, I'm going to trust the ball or not? But you're a smart person, you know everything. And you're sure that this is wrong. If you trust the ball, you'll survive. If you don't, goodbye. And when he landed and he survived, decided to trust the ball, he came down and he said, I learned that as high as my understanding is, I was wrong. And there has to be this black ball. There has to be this truth that does not change, that is absolute. God, and that's the Torah, that God created the world with. And I need that guidance because I can't trust myself. My intellect could only take me so far. You need something above. And he came down and he became a Rosh Hashiva for a machina to get guys to go to the army, which is a high level because a lot of people do tshuva and then they say, okay, now I need to detach from my world. But he became a Rosh Machina, Rosh Hashiva. So this is the revelation that right now the king is having. Finally, the king has the revelation where he says, you have taught me the most important lesson, that basically what I just learned is that you cannot do anything without the guidance from above. And Avram Avinu, and that's the idea of humanism, the sin of I decide what's good and what's bad. And when Avram, and this is what the rabbis say, when Hashem tested Avram Avinu to go and slaughter his son, Avram Avinu actually shechted the concept of don't kill your son because it's the right thing to do, and it became don't kill your son because God said don't kill your son. And nothing to do with what your understanding is of what's right and what's wrong. God said do not kill your son. And you should love your son. And this is a much higher level. Because we see today, people say don't kill, but euthanasia, mercy killing, all kinds of places, slippery slope. This person says, just kill me. People sign documents. When I'm sick, kill me. Maybe they just feel like they're a burden on people and they don't want to be a burden on people. The Torah says don't kill means don't kill. Again, the rabbis have the ability to know when you can. There's something called not using medication because you can not use certain medications, but you can't go ahead and actively kill someone. It's not simple. You're talking about God's creations, and it's very, very complex. But so the king finally has this major revelation. This is what I believe. This is what I knew, and now I understand it. The Torah is a science. The Torah is, you take out one little string, little wire in a car. Take it out, the car doesn't work. Why? Because it's exact. You can't invent any ways to serve God. What you can do is what God said He likes. You can expand on that. So today I just came from a shul here. I can't believe what I saw. The most beautiful shul. So that's like called machmir. The father comes home and says, I want some water. Oh, he wants water. He probably also wants some food. So I'll bring him also some food. That's okay. You can expand on what God said. But to invent new ways, I want my kavana when I pray to really expand. I have a great idea. I'll put a picture of my tzaddik right in front of me in shul, and when I pray, I'm going to look at the tzaddik, and that's the way I'll become uplifted. You're not allowed to put any picture in shul in front of a rabbi. You're not praying and you know that you're not praying to the rabbi. You know you're praying to God, but I'll use that picture to help uplift me when I think about how great He is. And then they say that like what's the biggest fear of a chassid is that God will tell the tzaddik what he did, the things he did. That's the biggest fear of the chassid. But we don't do that. If you look, you see, you never see pictures of tzaddikim on the front wall where you pray, because you don't. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe the Ega was a great idea. The problem was God didn't command you to do it. Like Nadav and Avihu. They had all this incredible desire to serve God. They went in with the Ktoret at a time when God said not to do it, and they got burnt up. The problem is not what you're doing it. The problem is, did you get permission from God to do it? Did you get the guidance to do it? So if you have a shul, and you can make a shul beautiful. If anybody ever wants to see a shul, I saw a shul today, one of the most beautiful shuls. He brought a painter that 8 years has been painting the wall, like these murals on the wall. Outrageously beautiful. Everything is gold leaf all over the whole shul. In Mevaseret, right up the road. Unbelievable, but that's okay. Right? It says, Eli vanveo, this is my God, and I praise him and through the beauty of the mitzvah. That's wonderful. But don't invent new ways to do things. That's unacceptable. Okay? So he said, so the rabbi now just had this amazing understanding, and he realized that I was doing the sin of the golden calf. And now I get it. Now I understand it. Like, wow, it's not something where you can just go. You want to be creative and innovative? Great, go invent technologies, science, go wild. Not when it comes to serving God.
No freestyle.
No freestyle, no improvisations, don't invent new ways. There's a way to do it. The word in Hebrew, chadash, is the words chashad. Something's new. Everyone's looking for something new because their old is so messed up that they're like, oh, something new. Great, this is the new thing. No. We don't need to invent anything new. Our old is perfect. If you can prove that the new is old, then it's okay. Like the Rav Kook proved that having a state, having an army, building a government is all new, is all old, that got forgotten. And the people say, Rav Kook, you're an innovator. You're creating new things. What new things? David HaMelech was a king. Shlomo HaMelech was a king. There was a state. There was a government. There was an army. There was a finance. There was agriculture. What do you mean? So many of our mitzvahs have to do with us being a state. But unfortunately, we forgot. Also, the Chassidut took the concepts of the Zohar that have to do with the Klal and translated it into the individual. The psychology of the individual, which is wonderful, which is great. But now we need to bring it back. It's about the nation. We needed that. It was okay. It was important. It was part of the Torah. But it's not. That's we're lacking that understanding. So again, as long as you can prove that the old is new, that the new is old, it's okay. Like the famous understanding of Rav Kook that says, "Hachadash yitkadesh, hayashan yitkadesh, v'hachadash yitkadesh." The old will become new, and the new will become holy. And that's very important. So anyway. So now the rabbi expands and says, yes, Ken, you got it. So we're in 99. אמר החבר, כן הוא, וכן כל תורתנו כולם כתובה בתורה, מדיבור האלוהים ממשה, everything that we have, וממה שכתב משה ונתן להמון גדול ההוא בקיבוצם במדבר, לא נצטרכו בה לקבלה ולא להורות פרשה, מצווה ומצווה. All of our mitzvahs are not inventions of human beings. The mitzvahs are all godly. They were all given to Moshe Rabbeinu from God. They were all given from Moshe Rabbeinu, handed to us at this event of the Mass of Har Sinai, millions of people. Nobody invented anything here. And Moshe came down in Har Sinai when he was holding the luchot in his hands, the Seret HaDibrot, only 10 things. But there he taught the Perush of the whole Torah. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu, through his servant Moshe, taught the Torah for 40 years in the desert. And this is what happened. And not only is everything so detailed and precise, and what kind of animals you sacrifice, and how you sacrifice, and what place, and what area, what you do with their blood. ונתחיהם ממלאכות חלוקות וכולם בביאור מאת האלוהים שלא יחסר מהם דבר קטן ויפסל הכל. You have to understand. This is, you don't think that sacrifices is a personal individual experience where you can do whatever you want, bring a horse, bring a donkey, right? And you call that serving God. No, not at all. Right? It's not the kind of thing where you bring a gift to your friend who you like, and every time you bring him something else, he's very happy. No. The sacrifices are a godly science. They have effects on the world. This is like, the actions are so detailed and precise. Like we mentioned in the past about like a doctor. You don't just go and give medications to anyone you want. You have to know the science. You have to know who gets what. You have to know what works, how it works, what the amounts, everything is detailed. They study 7 years just to understand it. It's not something that is just go by the fly, go by the, because you have good intentions or because, you want to save people. It doesn't work that way. Everything and it is guided by God, and it's not about some passion of excitement of emotions, human emotions and excitement. That's part of the reason why they say Avraham Avinu had 3 days to go till he went to sacrifice his son. You should understand, this is not a, okay, you have like this revelation, and you go and you say, and you take the knife and I'm doing it. No. You had 3 days to think about it, to plan it for it, to go and do it. This is not a, like the other religions where at the moment you have to go, you have to go and slaughter your son. Okay, go get drunk, go get drugged, and go and do it, before you change your mind because it's something that's so insane. No, this is something that calculated. This is godly. This is guided, right? And this is something else. And therefore, it's a science and it's exact. It's not something mystical. And God has guided us the way. There's a beautiful prayer we say on Motzei Shabbat. Kirati chaya hoshienu. God, please. Kirati chaya hoshienu. And what's the answer? Orech chaim todieni. How does God save us? By giving us a way of life, by giving us a exact detailed plan of how to serve Him. Okay? Every detail. And therefore, we have to be so grateful that we know what God wants. And therefore, so it's true, you have to have good intentions, but it has to come with guided from God. It has to be, it's not like maybe like this or maybe like that. It's a precise science. Same way plants. You can't feed any animal or any plant. You have, there's a way that you have to science. pour poison on the plant, you'll kill it. And therefore, when it comes to korbanot, every detail, and that's what he's saying here, every detail is precise. There's no place. There's no place for inventions and all kinds of other ways. כמו ההוויות הטבעיות, אשר מתחברות מיחסים דקים, לא תשיגי מחשבה לדקותם, אשר לא ירה מכשול מעט ביחסם מהם, הייתה נפסדת ההוא, like the plants or the animals, או בדרך משל, אלא מופסד או נהדר. And so all the details of how you תנותח הבהמה, how you will now go and how do you, right? The cow, how do you do it? ולא היה צמח ההוא בעל החיים ההוא, או איבר או דרך משל, הפסד, okay? סקיר ינותח החיים, every detail. what you eat. Which part of the animal do you burn, and which part do you keep? Like, why would we think of anything? Why are the boxes square, and why is tzitzis 8 strings, and why all these things, everything? And by the way, there's an interesting question whether it's a machloket, whether it's good to understand the meaning behind the mitzvah, right? It's a machloket in the Rishonim. There's something called ta'amei mitzvot. If I understand the depth behind it, I'll never really understand till the end. But if I understand the depth behind it, I'll connect to it more. Is that good? Is it bad? Because then there's a danger that I might come and say, I'm only doing it if I understand it. And the bottom line is there's something higher than understanding it, is doing it because God said, and I don't understand how far it goes or what their effects are. So it's an argument. It's pretty surprising, but the Shulchan Aruch, the Torah, he says, En anu tzrichim levakesh tam mitzvot. Ki mitzvot melechem aleinu af im lo nida ta'aman. It's God's commandment. It's the king that commanded us, and therefore that's it. Just do what the king says. But because there's a danger, you might do it because you understand, and not because of the will of God. That's why I once was teaching someone about mezuzah. They didn't know anything about it. I was talking to them all about mezuzah and why we do it and how we do it, blah, 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 blah. And then I said to them, okay, now forget everything I told you. We're doing this because God said to put a mezuzah. Right? I'm doing this for the sake of God. I can't ever understand the real depth of, the Rav Kook says in every mitzvah, there's like billions of idealism that are encapsulated in the mitzvah. But I'm doing it because God says. But that's from the Shulchan Aruch. That's actually the Rav Yosef Karo. But the other rabbis, most of the rabbis said, the more you can understand it, the more you're involved, the more your freedom of choice comes to play. Even though there's that danger, but still it's important. You'll do it much more in a fully heart. And it's good to know how much, as much, the more you know better why you're doing it and the understanding behind it. So that's okay. So we said, and therefore, all these things, the detailed, what the clothes that the person who is sacrificing, the Kohen, what clothes he should wear. כל שכן הכל גדול, שואל על כניסה למקום העניין ההיא, מקום השכינה עם הארון והתורה, מה כרוך בזה ונקיות וטהרה, אוקיי, דבר שיאריך טהורו, goes on and on, ואומנם סומכים בו על לימוד התורה, מה שהעתיקו החכמים, וכל מדברו של משה, המשכן, everything, the Mishkan, Shem showed him in Har Sinai, and the oil, and the Shulchan, and the menorah, the more you understand, and the great building that Shlomo Melech built, everything was what God showed David the Melech, and it was told exactly, and even the Navi Yechezkel. So, en bavadat Hashem hashara v'svara v'itchakmut. There's no part, and I don't know how strong we can explain this idea. There is no place in serving God. I know I said it over and over again. We'll say it again because I understand it. It's something that people are always looking for new ways to invent how to serve God. En bavodat Hashem hashara v'svara והתחכמות. ואילו היה זה, היו פילוסופים מגיעים בחוכמתם ושכלם לחפל ממה שהגיעו אליו בני ישראל. If there was a place for human inventions, then the philosophers would have came up with a better religion. Because they were so smart and bright and geniuses. They would have invented the most incredible religion. Like in the beginning of the book, he says, religion's great, says the philosopher. B'delech hadat, invent a religion because it's great. It helps you to, excitement and culture and you know what I'm saying? It's great. It's great to have a religion. It means nothing, but it's good to, it's good to have something like meaning in your life and invent some kind of religion. So basically, our morality is all godly. It doesn't contradict, we spoke about this many times in the book, the fact that the Torah, that our morality is all godly. It does not negate or destroy the sechel, but it's above it, and it's all given to us from heaven. Again, we have a lot of respect. That's why we said we have a lot of respect for the philosophers, because they really try and they really use their mind and their intellect to reach the highest levels of understanding, and they we have respect. And therefore, the discussion with the philosopher was very long and very in depth. It wasn't like these people that are like in India, when we were talking about the idol worshippers in India, and they have all kinds of theories. We don't even talk with them. But people that are intellectual, that people that are really trying to use their intellect and their human abilities to the maximum, we talk with you. We have a discussion. We respect you, but the Torah is above your intellect, and it doesn't. We use our intellect. We learn the Gemara, and we use our mind, and it's the highest. It's deep understanding, but it's not. It's not a replacement. It's another level. It's way above it. The Torah starts where the intellect ends. That's where the Torah starts. Ve'ilu. Okay. Ve'ilu hayaze. Oh, he said, and if it was something, we're not against the intellect, but there are windows that are way above our intellect. And what we can understand with our intellect, we have a mitzvah to understand. Right? And we're not going to get rid of it. But there's something higher. Right? The Torah doesn't tell you. Where does it say in the Torah that I have to cross the street and a walkway? What's it called? Mavar Chatzayah? How do you say that in English? A crossroad. Where in the Torah does it say you must cross the street on a crossroad? But we're talking normal people, right? I don't need to waste prophecy for that. Simple things. But wherever our mind cannot reach, that's where we need prophecy. And when it comes to sacrifices, and the rabbi went in depth into a whole understanding of sacrifices. Okay? When the rabbi went into a whole deep understanding of sacrifices, he says these things you would never be able to come up with understanding how to do it, what goes where, how to do it, right? It's above the seretz. It's a secret. After God said to do korbanot, so then you could now try to understand, why do I do it, and why this animal, and why here, and why there, why on Shabbos do I have to bring 2 sheep and not 3, right? And the Rav Kook goes into it in depth, but it's only once it was given to us. Once it was given to us, how many, where to do it, how to do it, what clothing to wear when you do it, all the actual details. If you remember, this is learning. What we're learning right now is at a high level of humility, of anava, of understanding that this is given to us from God, and this is it. It's all. And Moshe Rabbeinu maybe understood the depths, but even that we don't understand everything. And so basically, and that's why, again, today, same thing is how serious we have to be. We don't go up to Rabbi today because it's not about what you understand. And so I bless us that we should really be able to do this. And next week we're at number 100. So hopefully we'll keep going next week. Thank you guys. And should be good news.